Adam Zucker in New York coming up next. It's game 3 of our triple header, a battle atop the Mountain West between number 20 unbeaten Colorado State and San Diego State. We'll get you out for the tip right after this.
Welcome west to Viejas Arena, where the 20th ranked and undefeated Colorado State Rams match up with the San Diego State Aztecs. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. John Sadak alongside the former Duke All-American and Jim Spinarkle, the two preseason favorites in the Mountain West. And what a contrast.
Really is, John. When you think about San Diego State, they like to lock you down at the defensive end. Colorado State on the other side scores at about 82 points a game. A very good passing team, so something to watch for.
Look out for the defense of those Aztecs. Break it down for us. Our fast analysis from AT&T 5G.
Just briefly touched on defense, and Nathan Mensah's a guy who leads it at 6'10". He's a unique player because he can block a shot just about anywhere on the floor. He'll track guards. He switches out onto the perimeter. Keep in mind, he blocks about 2.5 shots per game.
In terms of the starters for San Diego State, Adam Seiko and Josh Tomajic are out for medical concerns. They do have Lamont Butler back from a broken wrist. Trey Pulliam from COVID protocol. For Colorado State, what a terrific twosome. Isaiah Stevens, David Roddy, the point guard, the big man. They have chemistry and talent. The ball tossed by Eric Curry, officiating along with Michael Irving and the veteran David Hall, who's worked a couple of Final Fours and a record 32 straight NCAA tournaments.
San Diego State will take a little bit of clock down in terms of their possessions, not in a hurry. They look to drive it as much as they can. Butler
playing for the first time in nearly 40 days, loses handle. Roddy to the deck on the tumble. 4 to shoot. Keyshawn Johnson off.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with that number of 40 days with Butler. Lost the handle just a little bit that trip. It'll be interesting to see how he plays, and also his backcourt mate Pulliam, who hasn't played in 17 days.
Colorado State shoots brilliantly. One of the best offenses in the country.
And also a very good passing basketball team at 17 assists per game.
And Deshaun Thomas missed the bunny. Rebound to Nathan Mensah.
Pretty good opportunity, though, on the road to get something going towards the basket early on.
Pulling in the inline drive up the seam of the lane, out of bounds. Head man for Colorado State, Nico Medved, now in his 4th campaign. His Rams made the NIT Final Four last year. They entered this season the favorite in the Mountain West preseason for the first time in league history, a conference formed in 1999.
Watch for some touches for Roddy down in the post, too, if they can get him active using his body on the offense. Little hole going through the lane.
And Trey Pulliam, who is back for Brian Dutcher, back-to-back Mountain West Coach of the Year accolades. He has led his Aztecs to the Mountain West Championship game in each of his first 4 seasons as the head coach, a couple of tournament titles, including last year.
Really prides himself on the lockdown defense. They hold opponents to only about 38% shooting, 65 points.
Roddy, who's a mismatch on help, pocket picked. Keyshawn Johnson against Thomas, Euros down the lane, draws the foul.
Yeah, the one thing about Johnson, very good in the open floor and can get off the floor at the same time. So as you notice the way he comes down the floor, always looking to really be active. Good work defensively here, a little deflection. And then turning transition buckets or opportunities is one of the things that San Diego State really loves to look to do.
And now Johnson at the stripe, only a 56% shooter. He's coming off his first career double-double, earned Player of the Week honors in the Mountain West.
It was fun watching him before the game in their pre-layup line. They had like a dunking show going on for the fans. Different level. If he gets out there in the open floor, watch out.
Gets some major air. Now, it was a dunk try in the first matchup against the Rams last year. He fell on his shoulder in the first half. Wound up missing the next 3 games due to injury.
Yeah, I can understand that, just watching how high he gets up off the floor.
A 1-0 advantage for the Aztecs.
Notice the movement without the basketball, the spread offense. They missed a little click there on the blocks early on.
Roddy, who passes well for a big man, tipped. Stevens, the bobble, 7 to shoot. Probing hands, kicks, rhythm. Thomas releases, a miss.
Yeah, even though they don't get a bucket on that, it's an interesting style they play. Not afraid to make an extra pass with 4 seconds or 3 on the shot clock.
San Diego State's leading scorer, Cal transfer Matt Bradley driving down the lane, blocking foul.
I think both officials were ready to call a charge on this, but you're right in terms of watch where the restricted area comes into play. Does he clear it? Yep, looks like he's right there.
That goes on Adam Thistlewood, whose minutes are down, his efficiency up. He still starts as he has most of his career, but only plays 18 minutes a game because Niko Medved is playing 10 men in his rotation.
Yeah, and he mentioned to us it's very difficult to get that, but he said that he has a really good bunch of guys. And sometimes when you play the starters or the guys who are supposed to play a little bit more, there's usually some friction that occurs. And he said not a problem at all. All these guys like one another. They like participating. They're competitive. And that's about what we're going to see today. I think we're going to see a real competitive, intense basketball game here.
This is a matchup that got artificially accelerated by the times we live in. These teams didn't know they would play each other until late Wednesday. Oh, a slip on the floor. Stevens step back over Butler. Swoosh.
Yeah, pretty move there by Stevens. Obviously the ability to score. And this gives them the opportunity to extend their 1-2-2 defense. There's a little deflection.
They barely get it over before a 10-second violation and out of bounds on the sideline with Mensah.
You know what? I think that could have been a backcourt anyway, John, because when you get the ball over, it doesn't mean if you passed it like that, it's got to be touched before the 20 hits on the clock. I think that could have been a backcourt violation anyway. There's Roddy, the way he can come out at 6'5". He's a good post-up player.
Off the bounce, he sees that double, sloughing off.
And as you touched on, watch him, he can pass it out of the post when needed.
Pretty move, ugly finish, and fighting for the loose ball, a foul.
It's not going to be an easy challenge for Roddy. Watch with the big defensive effort by Mensah at 6'10". He's very, very good. Look, he doesn't lose positioning. As you watch number 31 in white, he goes straight up generally for block shots. And prior to that, his footwork is terrific.
Aztecs handle the pressure much cleaner this time around.
And Thistlewood defensively for Colorado State is interesting because at 6'8", he plays the point on that 1-2-2. Long, lengthy, good hands. And right now, San Diego State having some trouble getting some action going offensively.
Bradley, who can shoot.
Yep, lefty goes left all the time. There you go.
Banker in and out. Bradley fights for the ball, rejected.
Nice play there by Thomas defensively to react.
Stevens, who's so calm and poised. Played a little two-man game with Roddy, had it knocked out of bounds by Butler.
And Stevens second in the NCAA with his assist-to-turnover ratio. Just a terrific experienced guard.
Yeah, that was interesting, speaking with Stevens and head coach Niko Medved about their conscious effort to cut down turnovers.
Yep. Work at it, talk about it, practice it, and they only turn it over at 9.8, so I'm going to give them under 10.
Tipped out of bounds here will be Aztec ball. The teams are combined 1 of 7 shooting. Each hasn't played much in the last month plus.
And watch right here at 31, he's going to be a problem. See, already it's the 3rd time he's been a problem, just keeping them thinking a little bit out front.
Pulliam just got back from protocol, their second leading scorer, their point guard. On the twisting pivot, off.
Good work defensively there by Colorado State. 4 green jerseys underneath for defensive rebounding.
Thomas can really shoot, so can Stevens. Butler late to contest. A second triple for the Rams point guard.
Yeah, a lot of times we see him drive it towards the basket, but it's just about 32% from the three-point stripe. Can drag you out. Watch the next time down. He may take you to the basket when you start leaning out defensively on him.
Mensah feeds the cutting Butler off the front lip. And we'll get a foul.
So spreading the floor a little bit here. Stevens, you don't come out and charge at him. Butler's a touch late on this, and what does he do? He makes you pay from long range. They pass the ball very, very well when you look at these numbers at 52%. free throw shooting, which is always big on the road at 81%. So those are big numbers right there in terms of whether to be able to shoot the basketball. How about these shooting woes, though, for San Diego State? As we've touched on, they pride themselves at the defensive end. You almost don't want to mention those numbers from a percentage standpoint for them.
But Brian Dutcher, before their last game, New Year's Day at UNLV, wrote on the whiteboard, defense travels. And their defense can peak even more at home, where they have won 15 straight games. They haven't lost a home game since Colorado State came calling in January of last year.
Yeah, they're an awesome team on this floor. Last 36 games, they're 33-3. Makes you think if you're an opposing coach and team coming in here to play them.
First free throw made for Butler, and you can see that brace he has on that left wrist that he broke against Long Beach State on November the 30th. They expected him to play New Year's Day. He was a late scratch against UNLV.
Yeah, keep in mind, he scores at just about 10 points a game, 46% from the floor, and also about the same number from the three-point stripe.
Agwuka Rope is in for San Diego State. Stevens trots it up.
Yeah, quick look by San Diego State to maybe extend the defense, but I think against this guard tandem, probably not the best decision.
Thomas. Bully game inside. High kiss and rattles away.
Yeah, I don't think you can give a guy too many bounces. Maybe 3 on that trip. Somebody's got to help out.
Right down the lane. Butler swatted by Thomas.
Out of bounds though on the side, or the underneath rather. Pretty good effort. Butler trying to get through there, but defensively Thomas comes right back and hits that ball off his teammate Stevens, who happened to be standing on the out of bounds line underneath the basket.
We get a big line change here. 4 subs in for the Rams. Niko Medved did not appear happy.
Watch for the slip cut. Not there, that trip.
Chad Baker-Mazara, who can really shoot it.
Yeah, pretty active too. Gives them a lift every so often.
Hits heel. Won by the Rams, and the subbed in James Moores at 6'10".
Look at the way they spread the floor, trying to keep the middle of the floor open for driving opportunities.
John Tanjay among the subs in. Moores draws the foul, able to spin on Tahiro Diabate.
Nice decision there by Moores too. It's almost like it's going to be a high weave, and then he gets his inside shoulder. You see that right shoulder? Once you get that shoulder past the defender, it's kind of like clear sailing in terms of being able to get to the free throw line.
Now Moore struggles, 1 of 3 at the line this year, 55% a year ago. On a team that's otherwise dynamite at the line. He misses. So far, all the opponents have missed against Colorado State. These are the 3 Division I unblemished squads.
Not bad, huh? Good lineup right there. And Baylor just keeps it rolling.
Baylor will play in about a half hour at 10-1 TCU. So the second unit out there for Niko Medved's team, but they play a true 10.
Yes, a second unit with the same style, this time having Jacobs out front, just to keep San Diego State thinking, keep them off rhythm at the offensive end coming down the floor. Back to the straight-up man-to-man.
Bradley has it stolen away and then fouls Tanjay. Well, Matt Bradley, a transfer from Cal, who was a big-time scorer and an all-league performer in the Pac-12.
In a couple of years, averaged about 15 points a game over 2 years. They're just going to watch him go into his left, make him do something a little bit more uncomfortable as he sits.
Stevens.
Notice the way that they switch out front.
Out of bounds, Jalen Lake, the first-year freshman.
Yeah, their effort defensively is always good. The way, number one, they start the perimeter by switching and then coming back and helping out. Good work from behind just then. 2 guys making that happen.
Stevens sprung free. They hit him late, guarded by the length of a rope, and a foul off ball as Moores battled against Diabate. That's going to be his second on the Portland transfer. Quickly, Brian Dutcher sends Nathan Mensah to the table.
This is the type of afternoon I think we're going to see in terms of, you see it down here on the left side of our screen, the right side, a little bumping there. I think they got to let him play a little bit.
Chandler Jacobs, Division II transfer, super athletic.
Yep, likes to drive it, like to push it towards the basket.
And to travel.
Yep. As you mentioned, Colorado State scores at 82 points a game. Yep, that's an extra step there. A little right, left jab, and goes the other way.
One of the points of emphasis, along with overall reducing physicality in the game. Keyshaw Johnson has been quiet. Mensah wants it, matched up against Tonje.
You could say San Diego State has been quiet too, with only 5 points. There's a little bumping action down low. And that's where it's nice to have extra bodies, as you touched on, John. They go 10, sometimes 11 deep, Colorado State. So they can take a couple of extra chances because of their depth at the defensive end of the floor.
And Nico Medved said they're still experimenting and learning for certain game situations what lineups work best.
Tough cross-court path.
Pulliam hounded by Stevens. Mensah screens. Pulliam floater. That's his patented shot. Rattles. And a rope is there.
Well, because they understand that Pulliam is trying to get his, as you called it, patented shot. It's a shot that can be rebounded. There's a little strip in the middle of the lane.
That's going to be 2 on Pulliam.
Pulliam coming off 8 rebounds his last game out. And just finding a spot. But that's rebounding is about tracking the basketball, keeping an eye on your teammate who's going to shoot it, and getting a sense and reading it, and making sure you're moving your feet.
Rope has battled injury problems his whole career. Got a cortisone injection to help an ailing hip before the UNLV game.
Yeah, really doesn't practice much at all. I like that. Nice move here by Jacobs.
Altered, though, by Johnson. Mensah the board. And the Aztecs running. Butler down the lane. Got it to go.
Well, you know, everybody in this building, coaching staff, everybody is happy to see that shot go down for Butler. Playing with that brace on his left wrist, the fracture there. Good step across again. Look at the bigs, the way they help out their guards on the perimeter. Nothing easy at all. Oh, that's going the other way.
Offensive foul, James Morse.
Yeah, this is a team that gets it going at the defensive end, and you know where they're supported, not only by their bench, John, but they're supported by the crowd here with their defensive effort.
So 6 fouls on the Rams, 5 on the Aztecs, and we got a lot of time. That would favor, it seems, Colorado State on the whole, because they're such a better free throw shooting team. Stepping back, little flat. Track down end line, and they save the possession.
Good pass across.
Baker-Mazara off a rope, tips it back.
The rope is just going after it, isn't he?
And Roddy's absence can be felt. How long until he returns for Colorado State? Butler, the probing dribble, tipped, and a whistle.
That's going to go the other way. Over the top, might have been a rope.
We have a tight one early. The preseason top 2 teams in the Mountain West separated by a bucket. Well, the backcourt is back. Lamont Butler from a broken wrist, Trey Pulliam from COVID protocol. However, Trey Pulliam already has 2 fouls, the primary point guard. How does that change things?
Well, it's going to be interesting if they slide Butler into that spot to handle the basketball a little bit. Keep in mind, they usually have Adam Seiko, who's not on the playing today, so that would be the logical choice to come in off the bench. So an adjustment on the fly. It looks like Butler is out there right now, probably going to handle it a little bit more, but keep in mind with him, we've seen him go into the basket. He looks pretty sharp driving into the basket, but because of his layoff, Butler on the right there, he's missed some shots that normally he would have made.
A little surprising, the second leading scorer in the Mountain West, David Roddy, remains on the bench with 1 foul, was subbed out fairly early by Colorado State. San Diego State has gone very big with their lineup. Morse Tonje can really shoot. And he coughs it up.
Yeah, dribbled into traffic. Good run out here.
Baker-Mazara, hanging hit, and one.
See, that's the activity that he can give you in a hurry in terms of being able to put it on the floor and make something happen. Good release, good unselfish play right here as he comes down. They get the steal. Watch how quickly you look up the floor. Butler gives it to him. One dribble and allows him to attack. You want to try to get that to the player with about 15 feet or less to the basket so he has time to not only put it on the floor, but to adjust his body going towards the basket. Helps that he got it on the left side of the floor also, his lefty strong hand.
So it's a 7-0 run for San Diego State, and Roddy returns. Do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, you have to get him the minutes, that's for sure.
Now Lake picked up the foul. He and Moores back to the bench. Isaiah Rivera has subbed in as well, a talented shooter. Roddy, the screen, kick corner, rhythm three. A little short there for Tonje.
And Rope was a factor defensively just then, too.
He cuts in line, Mensah handoff and screen for Butler.
Yeah, the strong, aggressive play out front.
Oh, creative artistry. The Butler does it again.
Well, when he gets that ball, he knows that he's very good in terms of striding through the seams and squeezing his body past two defenders. The more this game goes on, you would think his rhythm would pick up after that long, almost 40-day break of playing games.
And a foul off ball on Baker-Mazara, it appears.
Watch how he's going to try to squeeze through eventually. Right there, gets through, and then it's that long stride. So his left leg, the plant leg, watch, comes down, and he still gets enough strength going away from the basket using that plant leg.
He said last year his key to improvement in conference play was slowing down his mind. This game getting sped up. It's bonus for both teams. 7 fouls on the Aztecs. So Tonje, an 84% free throw shooter. Front end of the 1-and-1 is good. And what a wrinkle it was that Tonje in the season opener started against Oral Roberts, a Sweet 16 team from last year. He dropped 31 points in that game and has come off the bench since.
Yeah, he was 10 for 14 from the floor, 3 of 7, 8 of 8 from the free throw line, and then I go to the bench, huh?
And that was more the matchup against Oral Roberts, personnel-wise.
And the other part of it is it doesn't complain. He's happy to do what he has to do. And needless foul out front for Jacobs.
No bonus free throws. Now that's been an issue for San Diego State on the year. Baker-Mazara, though, is one of their better free throw shooters.
Yeah, 92%, not all that bad. Something about those lefties. They just look good doing everything. Whoop, 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 whoop. Even better.
Wednesday night over on CBS Sports Network, we bring you more Mountain West action. San Diego State goes head-to-head against Wyoming at 10 Eastern. Cowboys having a fine year. They're second in the league in the net ranking. Colorado State is the top spot. So the Aztecs are 8 of 9 at the line. And their defense has been a major factor.
I was just thinking the same exact thing. Colorado State knew what they were getting themselves into this afternoon. Both of these teams know one another very, very well, but they haven't really come up with anything to solve the mystery against San Diego State, helping one another out front.
The Rope got a good roar as he went off the floor there.
Watch with all the exchanges. If there's an exchange, there's a switch. Shot clock under 10 again.
Jacobs, bad brick. Out of bounds with 4 to shoot off the Aztecs. What are you looking for here with 4 seconds?
Usually you look for a little slip cut. Either a guard will head towards the base to the baseline corner, but watch the slip cut, especially with Roddy on the floor.
Stevens calls the break. Lob. Rivera. Stevens hit! Got hit by Butler.
Well, that's a tough decision defensively just then, as you're coming out with a shooter that's floating away from the basket a little bit.
That'll be 3 free throws for the second best free throw shooter in the Mountain West.
So you see as he comes out, he leaves his feet clearly and gets him. Just think that when you see a guard backing out like that a little, John, you want to give him some room because that's a difficult three to hit, especially with the shot clock winding down.
And Stevens, you see his numbers: assist to turnover. That was one of the circled points of the coaching staff. Stevens and Roddy, we caught up with them this week, and they talked about the breakdown that their head coach offered at last season's end.
Yeah, basically just telling them, in terms of keeping a good focus, being ready, work together, look for one another. These guys really, really get along very well.
They pointed out that in the advanced stats from Ken Pomeroy's website, the Rams were an elite offense in most categories except turnovers.
Yeah.
Their turnover percentage was too high.
Those guys room together too, don't they?
They do. They have had a special kinship. 3-ball, swish!
Roddy right there too in his face, but a nice stroke by Bradley, who can really go long range. A little under 30% on the season, a better shooter than what his numbers would indicate.
He was a 40% man to the Pac-12 for 2 years. Had a foul before the bucket, wave it off.
So watch the catch. Roddy playing with the one foul, doesn't want to jump and leap. Cause some problems from a fouling perspective.
Now that's a big foul, Jim. That's 2 on Lamont Butler. So Butler and Pulliam, they just got the backcourt back healthy and playing. They each have 2 fouls.
Well, that's where Moore is going to have to step up.
And no Adam Seiko today for medical concerns. He played 38 minutes filling in at point on New Year's Day. So how do you do it? Do you play one with 2 fouls? Pulliam's back out there for now, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have any choice because you don't have the depth. So Pulliam's going to have to step it up. More defensively should be able to be a factor.
Couple of passes that break the pressure. Pulliam feeds Bradley off the up fake. Sharp dribble, Johnson, and an offensive foul.
Well, the question becomes here, is Rivera moving on this one? I think he doesn't establish good defensive positioning, and I'll tell you why. Because generally when you see that, you can move to get in good position, but who initiated the contact then? Was it offense or defense? I think the defensive guy did on that one. I would have questioned that one.
Rams have missed their last 6 from the field. Roddy against Mensah, showing off that pivot, falling away. Oh, it's a soft touch.
Sure is. And how about the separation he gets by moving and pivoting away? He picked up like 4 or 5 feet to get that shot off.
Well, Bradley wants to shoot it.
Likes to go left. They have to really force him to his uncomfortable side. And you got a 3-on-2 if you hurry.
Jacobs down the lane, over Bradley. Roddy off the up fake, draws the foul.
He's so good at the ball fake. But you get an opportunity to run the floor. Pretty good spacing, too. And Roddy, watch this separation here. He goes to his left into the left corner. Beautifully done in terms of being able to separate against a shot blocker in Mensah.
And now Roddy, who does a bit of everything, 73% free throw shooter. He trails the scoring chase in the Mountain West by just 0.06 of a point to Utah State's Justin Dean. Dinwiddie in, baker-mazara out, Jacob subs away. Looks like Lake is back for Colorado State. And Rope late is going to sub back in with Johnson out. These two head coaches familiar with one another. Niko Medved volunteered that when they each learned they'd face each other late Wednesday, Brian Dutcher called him at 10 o'clock at night, laughed about watching tape of each other. And they were each assistants when they formed a kinship within this league, and have chuckled about these two men from Minnesota, both Minnesota graduates, find themselves out west as head coaches. They are the foul concern for the Aztecs. Aztec offense seems to have swelled with confidence some.
Yeah, a little stagnant. See how they're forcing Bradley to the right side.
Mensah off a rope. Misfire. It is physical fighting for the ball.
They're going after it. You know, when you think about it, it's 16 offensive rebounds, San Diego State. In their last trip out against UNLV, they go after it underneath.
Roddy on high, swish!
Just shows you the versatility of his game. We focused on him a moment ago, fading away in that left side of the floor from the post to the 15-foot range. He goes to the blocks, and that time he strikes one from long range where he's a 43% shooter.
Rams are on an 8-0 run. He has 6 of those 8. Dinwiddie releases. Rainbow!
And Dinwiddie has to give them a little action. Plays pretty well from that defensive end of the floor. Pretty active generally.
Roddy and Mensah, what a battle that's been.
And watch the ball fakes.
Go strong, wave it off, foul on the floor.
Well, Roddy can do it all for this Colorado State team. Look at the rotation on this one. Nothing but the bottom. Good run by the Rams.
2-point tilt. Take a look at our Jersey Mike's subs game summary. What stands out to you?
Well, you know, when you're playing in a game like this, you don't want to grab the stat sheet if you're a player because the field goal shooting percentages aren't that great. But I think when you look at the points in the paint for San Diego State, I think that's a huge number. The way they attacked their last game out, they were very good against UNLV. 30-16 in the paint, but Rope is really giving them a nice lift. Look where he is in here. He comes from the right side about 15 feet away to keep this ball active, and he gets a bucket on it. And then he works defensively here, slides over, good position, takes the charge, so defensively there, a nice effort. And once again, watch this one. Kind of goes unnoticed a lot, but this guy does a lot of the intangibles to keep the ball alive, especially on the offensive glass.
Now, how about this? The gaudy defense of San Diego State. Only Gonzaga had been shooting better than Colorado State entering today. And Brian Dutcher's defense has held a Rams team that shoots 52% from the field to 30.8 so far.
Well, you would think that Colorado State would try to figure that out a little bit, but once again, San Diego State really locks people down.
Now, it was a big foul for Brian Dutcher's team that put Roddy at the line. Nathan Mensah got his second. So 2 on Trey Pulliam, 2 on Lamont Butler, 2 on Tahiro Diabate, and 2 on their best shot blocker in big in Nathan Mensah.
And what does that indicate from the offensive end for Colorado State? Try to drive that to the basket off the bounce or hit the post with an entry pass.
And remember, they have 9 scholarship players available. Josh Tomajic and Adam Seiko out due to medical concerns. Bradley.
Roddy out there guarding him now.
The J, short. And a rope feeds Bradley. Nice pause and finish.
Yeah, and a terrific decision by a rope just then. Good symmetry in terms of watching each other, knowing what each other is going to do there. A beautiful pass and cut at the same time by Bradley.
Roddy screening for Stevens. They've talked about their chemistry and just knowing where the other is on the floor. A lot of two-man game. Kendall Moore has been quiet. Gets past Keyshawn Johnson. Oh, it's a tough shot.
Yeah, it sure is, but it makes a difference when you look at both sides of the floor, John. They had been stagnant on one side. That time they reversed the ball, and it gives an opportunity to a guy like Moore to use his speed to go by people.
Roddy versus Bradley has been fun. Bradley's looking for the ball in the wing.
Yeah, see if Roddy jumps him on that left side to force him right.
Pulliam stepping back. And here comes Stevens.
Good balance, though, by San Diego State.
Oh, nifty crossover.
Well, that was terrific balance by San Diego State, but even better by Stevens, putting it on the floor the entire way. Just really reading the defense perfectly to finish that off.
Dinwiddie. A rope muscling in on Thomas.
Stays straight up. Not maybe a jump ball, won't it? Tie up. As a guard coming down the floor, you want to try to make things happen. That could have been a carry just then. That's one of the things that a lot of times they get away with. Watch, see the way he cups that ball underneath? That gives the offense an advantage. They don't get that call too often. I think that most levels of basketball, John, that's something that has to be addressed a little bit. It really gives the offensive player a big, big advantage going into guy defensively, especially on the break.
See how efficient Stevens has been today with that tight handle.
Nice ball fake there. It's slight, but Roddy gets him off the floor.
Moore. Little long, tipped in the air. Pulliam has it. Bradley, Dinwiddie begging for it opposite.
Well, see, that's the difference when you're a lefty who goes left. It's hard for a lefty to come back to his right and make that cross-court pass.
Keyshawn Johnson, he is more than a dunker. That was creative.
Yeah, very good decision just then, as Bradley couldn't give the ball up just then, but that was smart to keep it on that side of the floor. The guy was coming off a double-double. Nice, strong post-up move.
A rope on a switch as Stevens. That means Roddy's got a new defender in Bradley. Double comes from a rope.
Not a good decision to put it on the floor against two guys. Yeah, rope wants to, yeah, good move. Pull that one out.
The trail three. Bradley rains it down.
Smooth little rip, a nice little delayed break by San Diego State. And once again, just a basic basketball play by a rope, not to force the action when they didn't have the numbers initially.
Butler ready to sub in with 2 fouls for the Aztecs. Stevens, the length of Johnson.
Big guys can guard.
Got him in the air, and that's going to be 2 on Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, just as I say it, the big guys can guard the perimeter players on their switches, but a terrific ball fake that trip. Comes down the other way, a little bit of stride. Nobody comes out again. Let it rip. Kind of sets you up because he gets you leaning. And a beautiful drive to the basket here. A little look to his left, across to his right, and a finish on the break.
Well, he and David Roddy have been the offense today. One of the great oddities, Stevens doesn't have an assist.
Surprising. This is because of San Diego's defense, San Diego State's defense. When you think about the way they play, they lock you down. Really, Colorado State hasn't gotten into many offensive sets because of that as of yet. A couple of dump downs to the post, a couple of drives to the basket, but not those 1 and 2 passes that lead to buckets.
Well, Stevens a game-high 12 points. Big foul that went to Keyshawn Johnson before the break, his second. So now 5 Aztecs have 2 fouls. Clean swish for Stevens. And they have shown at least some form of pressure, at least on the ball carrier all game.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense, especially when you have a guy like Butler right here who hasn't played in close to 40 days. Why not press?
UNLV chose not to do that. And a foul. Is that Tanjay on ball? No. That'll go off ball to Thistlewood. That'll be his second. It is bonus. And Thistlewood with 2. What do you want to see from each team with 3.5 to go before the break?
You want to see initially, obviously both of these teams are playing intense basketball at the defensive end of the floor. You'd like to see them get some strengths going in terms of their rhythm. You know, at the offensive end of the floor, you know, I think Stevens, I would like to see Roddy get involved the last 3.5 minutes of this half for Colorado State.
Tie up on the loose ball, won by Roddy.
Yeah, good work by Roddy to stay with that one.
Roddy and Stevens, what a twosome up the floor.
Here they got a little action, 2-man game on the left side.
Moore wide open. A rope's got it. Funnels to Butler, can't handle.
Yeah, may not have been able to get that left hand up in time. Struggling, has missed a bunch of action because that left hand in the wrist. That's another reason I think I'd press Butler too. Force him to use that left hand as much as you can. You don't want to obviously take advantage of something, but if he's out there, you have to.
Young man who broke Reggie Miller's high school scoring record at Riverside Poly. 10 to shoot. Tanjay, dribble if he wants. Moore, 5 to shoot. Down the lane, kicks opposite, up top, Roddy. Shot clock violation. And an exasperated Nico Medved.
It sure is. I think he's looking at Roddy and just saying, you have to shoot that. You have to be aware of the clock situation. I don't have a problem making one pass with 4 seconds left, but you have to be aware of that. If you're the guy catching it, you must shoot the ball. Let's see.
And there you go. They are on pace to match their per-game turnover rate in this first half with the shooting down big time.
More defensively, number 3. You better be jumping to the right side. Nice work there. Good work by Moore coming back.
And a rope fell down. Numbers in a power play. Tipped out of bounds by Butler. Now, Brian Dutcher has talked about the lack of identity for his team. He's had so many missing pieces at different stages of the year. He confessed, I don't know what or who we are yet. I think they know they can defend.
Yeah, they can defend.
Stevens!
Oof, right there again.
Bradley has carried the load scoring-wise for the Aztecs.
So you got to jump his right arm. You see it? See how he's trying to go to the left all the time? That's where Moore has to jump in a bit.
Trying to playground it out of bounds. Rams ball. And we'll get a timeout from San Diego State. A bucket game. We'll be back in 30 seconds in San Diego. Brian Dutcher's Aztecs won the Mountain West last year. It's their defense that often carries them. 11th in the country in points per game allowed, 16th in field goal percentage. But it goes beyond the numbers. What is it about their defense?
You know, they're so attached to one another in terms of understanding what they want to do, and it starts on the perimeter. And the way Brian Dutcher has his bigs able to come out and defend. And now, once again, that's philosophy, that's style, but it's also personnel. You have to have the guys who are willing to do that.
Roddy driving end line.
That's not going to count. That's a foul before the bucket. How about the quick decision here? Catch. See how he's almost moving towards the basket before he catches the ball? That's a simple little trick. A lot of guys will wait for the ball, catch it, and then start their move. Roddy has the ability to get his feet moving prior to without having the ball, so it leans his shoulders towards the hoop.
Foul to Diabate is his third. Front end is good, and the Rams have 14 of their points at the free throw line. Now, we asked Niko Medved about the Aztec defense, and you had asked him to encapsulate it. Give me a short version why it's so good. And he cited their ability to switch at every position.
Yeah, when you have personnel that can do that, it makes it very, very difficult to get into your rhythm.
Bradley hounded by Jacobs. Free throw line, Jay.
That's where he took it right to the right side with the one dribbling up. Shows you the diversity to Bradley's game. Likes to go left, but can go right.
He's got a dozen to lead the way for his team. Roddy into a double, falling away, side backboard.
That's good recognition by the Aztecs.
Butler behind the back move. Butler giving the jumper, doesn't take it.
It's hard getting that left hand where you want it when you're getting ready for a pull-up jumper.
Bradley feeling it. Air ball. 109. Rams have to use it or lose it.
Yeah, Bradley was looking for a little deflection or a foul on that play. Looked at both officials who were outside. And guess what? He didn't get the call that he thought he should have gotten. Nice strong post up.
Tonje gets fed, takes a rope off the bounce. Help!
Wow.
And he's denied!
Oh, man, what a great defensive play. Second man in.
Diabate.
The post-up was terrific.
Corner whistle on the three-point try by baker-mazara.
One of the few times they've come down the floor in this half trying to get something in a hurry in the transition, which they will look for. Here's that drive in the baseline and a terrific step across. Second body in. Good work by the bigs for San Diego State.
That foul to Jacobs, his second, so 3 free throws for a young man who entered a 92% free throw shooter.
Well,
well, this is tight. The matchups last year were anything but. Niko Medved's team had to set a Mountain West record, come back from 26 down to win the first meeting. and found themselves in a huge hold and lost in the rematch. And a timeout called by Colorado State. We'll step aside. 30 seconds. We'll be back with 45 ticks to go. January 2nd, 2021, the last home loss for San Diego State. The Aztecs were rolling. They were up 26 in the first, and then a comeback for the ages. Colorado State ended the first half on a 21-2 run and completed the biggest comeback in conference history to win it 70-67.
Scoring the last 11 points of that game, and when you think about this afternoon's game, Brian Dutcher wants to keep this thing, as mentioned, he keeps, and his team allows 58 points per game. And keep in mind that Colorado State scores at 82 points a game. So just by numbers, you don't win games in the first half of a basketball game, but style, tempo, control of this game has really tilted strongly to San Diego State.
We have had 31 combined free throw attempts. So here are the Rams, 45 seconds, length of the floor.
Where you want to get a good look to make sure you go in on a little bit of a high. I like that shot too because it's a 2-for-1 opportunity.
Roddy cleans it up, and they could have a chance here at a 2-for-1.
Exactly. That's why they went down the floor. The follow-up threw the timing off, but you're better off getting the bucket, obviously. Only a couple of second differential.
Do you hold here if you're the Aztecs?
I think you work it down to about 7 seconds and then go with it.
Bradley.
And I'd be forcing him to his right if I'm guarding him right now out front.
He's got a dozen.
See how he's coming to his left?
Puts it up. Baker, good.
That's a breakdown defensively.
He, three-quarter court, Tonje off.
You have to know the scouting report, John. There's a guy who's a very, very talented player. We saw Bradley go to his right for a pull-up jumper. But when you're guarding him and you know the shot clock is against you, you got to force a guy to go to his weak hand and take your chances that way rather than to his power side for the finish. So well executed by Bradley, not so much on the defensive end of the floor.
Bradley is nearly at his per-game average. That's the end of the first half. Your score, San Diego State 36, Colorado State 32. We'll send you to Adam Zucker in New York, AT&T at the half after these messages.
The way San Diego State has clamped down on Colorado State that generally shoots the basketball very well at 52%, only 32%. Look at that number, 3 assists in the first half. Team that averages about 17 assists. They just have not been able to get anything going against the Aztec defense.
John Sadak, the former Duke All-American, and Jim Spinarco. Colorado State only led for 3.5 minutes. Right. You pointed it out at halftime. They're 20th in the country. They're undefeated.
Yeah, and one of the things about them too is they've been a little sluggish their last 2 games. They haven't shot the ball that well against Air Force. They barely beat a team that had 3 out of their 5 top scorers not in the lineup. So they got to figure it out in a hurry here, but it's difficult when you come to San Diego State and try to figure that out on the fly.
So the second half for Nico Medved and company about to get underway. He has been properly praised for being an offensive wizard with his team, but matching up with a dynamite defensive mind in Brian Dutcher. The preseason 2 favorites in the Mountain West. San Diego State has won 15 straight at home. Colorado State, one of 3 undefeated teams in Division I.
Good high screen causing a little mismatch over there for Mensa. If they go to him down low, he's got more high-low. No, they don't find him.
Keyshawn Johnson over Thistlewood. That's going to be a foul. That'll be 3 on Adam Thistlewood.
The foul trouble that we had for both of these teams in that first half will mount up in the next 4 or 5 minutes here in the second half, making coaches have to make decisions on the fly also.
Now Johnson, who had 2 fouls, one of 5 Aztecs that had 2 fouls in the first. Trey Pulliam, Lamont Butler, Nathan Mensa. 3 fouls for Tahiro Diabate. Back end is good. So Thistlewood remains in the game with 3.
Let's see if Colorado State can use both sides of the floor, get something going You will notice, though, how they collapse the floor on the opposite weak side.
Out of the corner, Thomas, in and out. Nice job by Thistlewood, who can shoot it himself. Slithering end line, lost handle, able to maintain Roddy.
Tough isolation here. It's against a very good defender.
Showing that pure shot.
Well, he knows he's a shot blocker and basically leaned back a little bit to separate again. We saw him do that in the first half, separate by about 3 or 4 feet, that time by 2.
He is tied for the game high with 14 points. Bradley's got 14 for the Aztecs.
Yeah, coming off a very, very good first half.
7 to shoot. Bradley goes left. Ball fake. Kiss miss. And the Rams on the run. Roddy screaming for it in transition.
Now watch the way when they set it up, San Diego State, when the ball comes to one side of the floor, how they cheat and come in defensively.
Roddy off.
Yeah, they'll take that. They'll force that to the perimeter.
Mensah, whose shooting has been suspect this year. End-line drive, Butler, and wow, Moore got too aggressive.
Butler has a quick first step. We saw it just then on that potential drive to the basket.
And Butler, who can certainly shoot it, also known for his defense, held Boogie Ellis to just a couple of points against USC.
Yeah, but I think I'd force Butler to shoot it from the outside.
Bradley hesitates and still drains it.
But not that guy. He has a beautiful stroke from long range. As I touched on in the first half, his numbers were only 28%, but that doesn't look like a 28% three-point shooter to me.
They have been waiting for a breakout signature game from the COL transfer. Thistlewood off. And here come the Aztecs.
Nice work by Johnson to stay with that. Kept that one away from Thomas.
Johnson is a size mismatch on Stevens. He wants the ball.
Sort of like a little isolation out here too. Small versus big.
Bradley over Thistlewood. Yes!
Well, he left that first half with that drive to the basket, had a confident first half, and he has elevated himself here to start this one off in the first 3 minutes.
No timeout from Colorado State, facing the worst deficit of the game. Moore, pocket pick, knocked loose by Mensah. Out of bounds. And Aztec ball.
Just a smooth start. If you're not going to come out and guard me all the way, and Bradley just says, I'll stroke that one. And here he is again. You get a small versus big. One way to neutralize the size is to keep him away from the basket. And he did just that to Thistlewood at 6'8".
Neither team has enjoyed a double-digit lead yet. Pulliam, knocked free, stolen by Moore.
Nothing there, so pull it back. Good decision. And now you have to make sure you get a good look on this possession to chip away at this lead, because the crowd is getting into this one.
Stevens down the grain of the lane, out of bounds.
Good rotation defensively just then. And San Diego State really helps one another out. They are glued to one another in terms of where they're supposed to be on the floor.
Stevens the break, doesn't see anything cleanly. Jacobs.
That's why it's difficult for Colorado State to get into any kind of action. They got to go left to right on both sides of the floor and drive it at somebody, like right now.
7 to shoot. Stevens contested 3 off, and Mensah's got it.
I'd say it's a little stagnant for Colorado State. They're kind of camping on one side of the floor, and that's exactly what San Diego State wants them to do. If you make that last jumper from the corner, you have to live with it if you're San Diego State.
Bradley pocket picked and foul, his second. Bradley has erupted a 6-0 surge for San Diego State and a game-high 9-point lead. San Diego State, a game-high 9-point lead on undefeated Colorado State. Tomorrow, a new year, and that means a new episode of The Equalizer. Queen Latifah returns in the show that critics are calling fresh and reinvigorating. Don't miss The Equalizer tomorrow on CBS. Matt Bradley hasn't been missing.
No, he hasn't. He's been shooting the ball 9 of 18 from the three-point line the last 3 games, and he's just really under control. And I think it helps to have, Pulliam and Butler on the floor with him. It takes a little bit of pressure off him that he can just get into the stride of his game rather than playing a little bit of point guard like he's had to of recent.
He has been so much better at home than he has on the road or neutral floors.
I think you get Roddy and Stevens involved here. You know you need a bucket. Who do you go to? Your scorers.
And Roddy turns it over.
Give it up.
Headman to Butler. Euro bucket.
Well, Colorado State called the right number, and Roddy that just got collapsed on him, though, and lost the ball, and it turns out to be a breakaway layup, basically.
8-0 run and a kickball.
So he loses the basketball. Nice quick look up here. Now watch the protection of the ball. The first protection to let first guy go through in more, and then you get an easier layup.
Stevens, who was the inbounder, off. Great box by Mensah. The loose ball, Bradley.
Yeah, terrific work on the glass, collectively, too, by San Diego State.
Knocked free, out of bounds. Aztec ball. Now, while the Rams are undefeated, it hasn't necessarily been smooth sailing. They have come back from down double digits 3 times, including 20 in the title game of the Paradise Jam against Northeastern.
Yeah, it's just that they're not doing it in the flow of offense right now. I mean, they are really, struggling at 34 points for a team that scores 82 a game.
And part of that, you pointed it out at break, a team that averages 17 assists a game. They've had 3. Mensah on the end line. Thomas too aggressive.
And San Diego State is isolating. They're under control. It's a pretty good, basically a simple play. Just face up and try to get your defender and Thomas moving with your hands especially. Good call from the officials.
Well, Johnson sits. A rope is back. Bradley. Stepping back, 22!
Boy, he is in a zone, and when you get in a zone, not a whole lot you can do. He's shooting the ball from long range. He's bodying you up. Somebody's got to get to the free throw line or get something going to the basket if you're Colorado State, just to slow this down.
Rams haven't scored in nearly 5 minutes. Stevens, quick low, Jacobs, heel. And Pulliam's got it, Aztec ball.
Well, Stevens did the right thing going to the basket. They just can't get anything down. Let's see if they can get something in transition here.
Mensah fell asleep, turned it over. Roddy eyeballing Stevens.
The way the bigs are switching. It's going to be a rope from behind, I think.
That's what you wanted to see, right? A drive like that?
Yeah, get some action going towards the basket. But I will give San Diego State credit from the standpoint of when the bigs switch, they're pretty good, really pretty darn good at stopping the perimeter drives by the guards. But here's that little bit of switch action, and a rope just was out of position to begin with. He was leaning towards the sideline. Good decision to go by him on the left side of the floor.
No Ram besides Stevens and Roddy has more than 2 points. That includes Tonje, who was subbed in. He averages 11. He's got 2. And a foul right upon entry. It'll be Butler with his 3rd.
He's got to chip your way back if you're Colorado State. Make good decisions.
So they just pull him away. They have to bring him back with the 3rd foul on Butler. Sanjay matched up with a rope. Moores. Stevens over top of the length of baker-mazara.
Yeah, took advantage of the breakdown just then in the stumble. Good collapse there defensively by Jacobs to seal the baseline the first time.
Bradley falling away. It's his best day in an Aztec uni, 24 points.
Boy, was that ever patient. He tried to go after him the first time, and Jacobs slowed him down. And then he reloaded on him the second time, but once again, fading away. If you can do it, it's a huge asset. There's a little reach out front.
That'll be 2 on baker-mazara.
So he tries the first time, and now he goes right back to the well. Second time, now watch the reverse. Keeps his left foot down, falling away, separation. Boy, uncanny the way he's making things happen.
He subs out, big ovation.
Yeah. I think that's a smart substitution, but probably one that Brian Dutcher probably did not want to make.
Stevens spin cycle in the lane.
Good out of bounds play just then to get to the middle of the floor.
Roddy, brief breather. He's back to the table, ready to sub in. Diabate. Baker-mazara, nice feed. Oh, and a rope, the soft finish.
That worked because they had good spacing on the other side of the floor, too. They had 2 of their teammates on the right side spread out, allowing 2 other guys on the left side, the power side, to go to work. Good
Moore's too long.
Yeah.
Still to come, the NFL on CBS season finale doubleheader tomorrow. Should be a day filled with drama. Several teams awaiting their postseason fates. Get you caught up on every possible scenario. Begins at noon Eastern. JB and the guys on the NFL Today. The Week 18 NFL season finale tomorrow on CBS.
They're hard to speed up San Diego State. They're isolating.
A rope held that pivot.
They were looking for a travel. Colorado State benches to our left. They were screaming for a travel, but just can't speed them up. They're playing so smartly on the offensive end of the floor.
Roddy off the fake.
Good ball fake.
And that's going to be 4 on Diabate.
A little action on the fall away. It is really working. A rope with the little step through. That's not a travel. San Diego State on a roll.
'20th ranked Colorado State's undefeated record in grand peril. They enter today as one of the elite shooting squads in the country.
Passing and shooting, and it's just not been there, especially the three-point shooting. 3 of 15 from the floor, and they've had some decent looks, but not too many of them.
Our fast analysis brought to you by AT&T 5G.
And even the open looks that they've had against San Diego State, just not getting anything to go for them. I think they may have to turn this into a drive to the basket type of second half from this point on, try to get to the free throw line just to get some numbers up.
And not only has the defense clamped down on Niko Medved's mighty offense, at the same time, the Aztecs have hit their last 7 from the field, and Matt Bradley has had his definitive breakout game as an Aztec.
Yeah, and I've been very impressed at the other end of the floor. You know, Colorado State trying to figure it out. But you're right about Bradley in terms of him being on a flow, and it's contagious. I think the fact that he's not tracking shots down and hunting shots has really given Coach Medved some fits down the Colorado State end.
Stevens, they played a little weave game.
Yeah, I would think, you know, you come after this timeout, get your bodies moving, get some action. Well, they're just fumbling the ball out front to get going.
Roddy on a switch, had Pulliam, hang and miss. Mensah came down looking for the block and a foul.
Well, what you do when you're in trouble is you call your number 1 scorer's number out, and they got that here. Well, I'm trying to look for that foul just then, too.
That's his 3rd. Well, Roddy more free throw makes than field goal makes. He's got the body of a tight end. Was an elite football player and basketball player, Mr. Football and Mr. Basketball in his native Minnesota.
And I like the call by Colorado State to get it going towards the basket. And get one out of it at least.
Niko Medved, his team scores in the 80s, still shy of 40. We're approaching the midway point of the second half.
And you look at the way San Diego State is using the clock right now. How many opportunities are there going to be to score?
Dinwiddie.
Everyone's important from this point on for the next 4 or 5 minutes for Colorado State, just to build some confidence.
You can feel the urgency. Tonje and one.
Sure makes a difference when you're struggling from the outside. Cash in, go into the basket. It's a simple game. You come out, the big guy is kind of leaning. He can defend out there too, but watch the way he leans with his left foot. That's a great time to go after the right foot. The inside drive for the basket. Smart move.
And that's already 7 fouls on the Aztecs, so it's bonus rest of the way with 11 minutes.
Yeah, your mentality should change, and I think it has the last 2 after that timeout.
And one free throw miss. And Niko Medved has a turn of phrase that he loves to use. Like the three, love the paint.
Right.
Does he change defense here?
Yeah, it goes to his zone. Good look right here. Should make things up. It's a matchup zone. They don't use it that often. But just to confuse San Diego State just a little bit. Do it under your terms defensively. You got to stay on Bradley, though. Nice step in. Good job.
Roddy with Stevens. How fitting.
Wow, good hands, too, for the block. Baker-mazara.
Rams maintain. Tonje wanted it. Bradley picks the pocket.
He's a lefty.
Whoa! A rope misses on the follow dunk. Tonje, hesitant three. Ugly miss, and Bradley's got it.
Yeah, but that little pace back and forth. They didn't get down with anything, Colorado State, but they're trying to uptick this game just a little bit. The zone is getting San Diego State to think a little bit. It's a matchup zone, which means you play man-to-man when the ball is right in front of you, and if a cutter goes through, you let him go.
Bradley on high. Hits heel, hits top of the backboard, and then a foul.
So the lefty goes to the left side, and then you have the follow-up that misses. It's a tough foul. When that ball hits the top of the basket like that, it throws everybody off. In terms of timing, that's when you start to hold, and they caught somebody down low.
Foul to Roddy, his second. Butler out of the corner. Oh, what a play.
Beautiful set.
And it's blown dead. Bradley brought his hands up to his face, checking seemingly for blood. And then winces. Now his hand's going up to the corner of his eye there. He get poked.
So watch all the traffic, all the screens. Look at all in here. How do you get through all of that? He catches the shot. He seems to be okay.
Bradley was top 5 in the Pac-12 in scoring each of the last 2 years as a sophomore and as a junior.
Well, he's on a roll today. He's coming off 17 points the last game too, so.
What a screen by Roddy. And a foul as Roddy was matched up with Pulliam. They're going to get Pulliam with his third.
What they're trying to do here is just trying to get some action, isolations down on the blocks. That's a good screen. I think that's a fairly decent defensive effort too by Pulliam.
So he subs out, a rope in, bonus free throws, and Roddy, who's just about automatic, goes to the line. Remember last year, it was the biggest comeback in conference history. From down 26, the Rams won on this floor. But Niko Medved pointed out this week, there were no fans in the stands for that game.
And you got to cash in from the line now. You're obviously Colorado State. Every opportunity you get, especially at the line. Make that happen. Let's see if they trick something up here with the defense.
Hits them both.
Still in that zone. Middle of the floor is a nice place to flash somebody right in the back. Right where Johnson is. There you go, right to the middle. Now you have decisions. A tall guy against a small guy should be able to go right over.
Moore fell down. Roddy on help, and Johnson over top of it. And a flop warning.
Yep. I love that decision there by Johnson. Get to the middle of the floor. It's a matchups, which means that you could go right behind into the free throw line and make something happen once you catch it, especially if a small guy gets on top of you there. I'm not so sure that was a flop either. He took a decent shot. Johnson is...
Stevens.
Look at the way the big guys come out. Here's two of them right there reacting out front. You don't see that very often in college basketball.
Roddy felt the double. Nice back cut. Jacobs misses.
Good help defensively, though, by Johnson on the baseline.
Bradley wants it. Matched up with Moore. Help from Stevens.
Look at the extra passes that they're making, though. Taking time off the clock and getting into their offense.
Butler. Oh, nice fake and rejected by Jacobs.
Well, the ball fake is great right there, and that gets one guy out of the position, but not the second. That's why you always want to have a second guy coming in to help out. Because the first guy helps defensively to make the offensive player adjust, and then by the time he's finished adjusting, the second guy generally gets a deflection.
10 to shoot. And a foul by Stevens.
It's only their fifth team foul.
8:21 to go. And a Rams team that hasn't hit a bucket in nearly 3 minutes, while the Aztecs have been in cruise control since the late stage of the first half. Butler. Wow. What a follow! Keyshawn Johnson.
Hard to box out of that matchup zone. Plenty of seams and plenty of lanes.
Largest lead of the game for San Diego State.
And they're playing off the crowd that you just touched on. Weren't here last year. They are really playing to the crowd.
Roddy.
Nice hands. Oh, Mensah going out to block a shot on the perimeter.
Butler down the lane. Foul on the floor.
Well, things are going pretty well for San Diego State. And they are really hammering the offensive glass. Had 16 offensive boards the last trip out. And they are just clobbering Colorado State off the glass.
Ah, the beauty of San Diego. Aztecs all over the Rams. Next Saturday afternoon, CBS will be in Lawrence. Big-time Big 12 battle. West Virginia and the 6th-ranked Jayhawks. Check your local listings for tip-off time. We'll see you next Saturday. More college hoops here on CBS. San Diego State has had success against ranked foes, particularly in this building. That UCLA team last year went to the Final Four.
Yes.
That Gonzaga team went to the Sweet 16. They all fell here.
Yeah, they're pretty good numbers. This is a very difficult place to come away with a win. If you just, you could point out, John, a lot of different numbers on the stat sheet. One that just jumps out to me with Colorado State averaging, as we touched on, 17, with their assists on the course of the season, 17 per game, and they only have 4 right now. They've been taken out of their offense totally.
The rope one-on-one with Roddy. Rejected by Roddy, maintains, fights through.
No quitting that guy.
And Roddy wincing, doubled over briefly. The bench loving it. And they are thin, remember. The Aztecs without Adam Seiko, without Josh Tomaic. Rams running out of time. Stevens over a rope, high kiss, miss. Bradley wanted it.
Look at the way they're using both sides of the floor.
Defender down, Mensah misses, out of bounds. What happened to David Roddy?
Well, Roddy's defensive, 21 defensively. He took a shot, I think in the gut with the elbow inadvertently. And now it's just too much on the offensive glass. And San Diego State is a sneaky offensive rebound. It's a sneaky offensive rebounding team.
They are out rebounding the Rams 31-19.
They're in double digits again with offensive rebounds too.
There's the number 11 of those on the offensive glass for the Aztecs, and they're grossly outshooting Colorado State. Roddy, a rope says no. Butler knocked away by Stevens.
One guy to stop.
Right at the shot blocker, blocking foul, number 4 on Mensah.
That's a very good decision by a guard going at a big guy when you're struggling. And it's a tough call too, because just not quite there in good defensive position yet. And that could have gone either way, but I think it's a good call.
Now that's 9 fouls on the Aztecs. So these are the last of the Rams 1-and-1s. They'll have double bonus rest of the way. Mensah out with 4.
Unfortunately, that may have been a case where the big guy gets penalized just for being big. Because you say, I'm not so sure he's supposed to play defense that well, but Mensah can play defense like that.
Stevens hits. Wednesday, the race is on. The Amazing Race is back with all new teams racing around the world to win $1 million. Join host Phil Kogan for a new episode of The Amazing Race, Wednesday, 9/8 Central on CBS.
The question is, how can Colorado State now defensively pick up the pace a little bit? Here you go, forcing some action. Try to get San Diego State to take a quicker shot, maybe a careless shot, turn it over, just to get some easy transition bucket out of this. There you go, nice cut.
Pulliam, goaltend, count it.
That's a beautiful set. Because what you look for here is you look for the defender coming off the screen. Now watch the defender right there. He's pegged on the screen. You know he's not going to be a factor. Nobody drops off. That's just well-timed in terms of being able to get an easy layup. Good call, good set.
Colorado State entered as one of 3 undefeated teams in Division I. They are getting routed at San Diego State.
And stymied at the offensive end.
Tanjay on the drive draws a foul. Here are the undefeated teams. USC got the win over Cal just a couple of nights ago. Baylor facing TCU today, and Colorado State, that's it. And at last check, Baylor down 9 to the Horned Frogs in Fort Worth. Foul to Pulliam, his 4th.
Interesting storylines, huh?
And these teams are going to meet again. This was an artificially accelerated matchup.
Right.
This game was scheduled to be played as the penultimate game of the regular season on March 1st. But Colorado State's foe, Boise State, COVID issues, game wiped on Friday. Brian Dutcher's team was set to have a game Wednesday. That got wiped. Then they practiced thinking they were playing Nevada. Learned at the end of practice it wouldn't be Nevada. It'd be Colorado State.
Yeah, and I think if you think about it from Colorado State's perspective, very difficult in terms of the assignment on short notice, even though they know these guys. And Coach Medved knows this team very, very well, San Diego State, but it's a different style to play against, to be ready to go. And they've just not been able to figure it out offensively. Now they're trying to speed it up just a little bit, a couple of jumps, a couple of doubles teams.
The rope falling away, foul. Is there anything also to the notion that for each team there have been limited games in the last basically month, that it's a little easier to defend without playing games than it is to find rhythm offensively?
Yes, in that. I think defensively, for sure, if your defense is your staple, as it is with Brian's team, Dutcher's team, it's clearly an advantage, I think, in terms of coming in and just doing the same thing over and over again. And keep in mind, we saw a couple of guys on San Diego State, Pulliam, Butler, who haven't played a whole lot. So it's indicative of the fact that maybe their offense wasn't up to par in terms of how well they can play. But defensively, this has been a clinic.
Now, you asked Brian Dutcher during the week to describe his culture. And he talked about how the upperclassmen impress it upon the freshmen. You want to play here, you have to defend.
Yep. You're seeing it this afternoon.
Roddy feeding Tanjay. That's the first field goal make in 5.5 minutes for the Rams.
Switch it over to a 1-2-2, three-quarter court press. Looks like back to a man-to-man after they settle in.
Bradley fake left, go right. Tanjay knocked it loose. Off of Jacobs. This is where the Mountain West stands. What stood out to you?
Well, obviously the league, the winning percentage also, compared to other conferences, they're right up there. I think they're like 5 or 6 in the United States in terms of their team's winning percentages. So they have them all packed in there.
Roddy rejects. 6 to shoot.
It's going up right now.
Butler! Shot clock violation.
One of the few times that San Diego State has not gotten a good look. And defensively, you look at Roddy, who leads this team with block shots. He's got a couple today. So now you have an opportunity to get a couple of consecutive trips down the floor and score some points.
Ball screen, Roddy.
And you see how nothing's easy. You switch out with the big guy on the perimeter, guard goes by him, and there's help side. And there's 2 guys defending what could be a layup, because you think, hey, I got a big guy guarding me on the perimeter, I should be able to get a layup out of it, but it's double time in the contesting.
Roddy.
Oh, boy.
Butler surging down the lane. Altered by Rivera. Baker-Mazara to Johnson, knocked free, and a foul. That'll be Jacobs.
Roddy is a very good passer, usually, but this one across court is not going to get it done, especially the way San Diego State plays that offside, weak side defense, always alert, always engaged. And that was interesting to me, too. Did you see Butler come down the floor just then using his left hand? Instinctively, he wasn't thinking about the injury. When you're kind of slowed a little bit and the tempo's not that quick, that's when you think about injuries.
Front end of the 1-and-1, good for Johnson. There's something about the San Diego State defense, and you hear from teams that face it, and they talk about how it looks like there's an opening. You think there's space on the floor,
right? But
it's not there.
They collapse it. That's why they're all tied together. They know exactly where they're supposed to be. They know their assignments. It's not by luck. Brian Dutcher works at it. And as you can see, when the ball goes to one side of the floor, you generally have a collapse in the middle of the floor by somebody helping out.
Offensive foul on Tanjay.
Fans love it.
Timeout, Colorado State. Nico Medved and company talking over. 4:05 to go. Game reset. Rams have the arrow. Double bonus for each team. 2 timeouts for the Rams, 3 for the Aztecs, and a huge lead. Brian Dutcher's team has beaten a Mountain West foe in 15 straight games. That includes the conference tournament. They've won 15 straight home games, 4 in a row overall. They are looking for, and well on their way to, the best win of their season.
It's an incredible home court advantage they have since 2009, 2010. They've won about 88% of their games at home. Not too shabby.
And they are willing to play big-time foes. Oh, the wizardry of Bradley.
What an afternoon for Bradley. just absolutely astonishing in terms of what he's done to pick apart Colorado State's defense.
A game-high 20-point lead for the Aztecs. Tanjay rejected.
Uh-oh, watch out.
Baker-mazara! Exclamation point.
They've dismantled them. They've taken an 11-0 team and brought them down to earth. Uh-oh, again.
Tanjay out of bounds.
Not a whole lot you can do when things are going in this direction. Nice defensive effort from behind. Off you go for number one.
Now keep in mind, this is the first true road game for Colorado State all year. 60 days after their season opener, by proxy of schedule, neutral floor, and of course the current conditions throughout the sport, wiping games.
So here's the step across, and second one for baker-mazara. Nice way to kind of finish your afternoon off. A couple of dunks, breakaways.
Bradley goes off to an ovation. Nico Medved's team a season worst, 16 turnovers.
Just can't rattle San Diego State on the offensive end either. They've tried little traps, they've tried matchup zones, they've tried man-to-man, and
turnover for the Aztecs. Stevens on the run.
Look at the collapse. Look at the collapse. Still under 2 minutes, playing with a huge lead, and it still hasn't changed.
No look. Baker-mazara dunks and threes.
It's been a nice minute for him, huh?
Timeout for subs. Tonight on CBS begins with the premiere. The student section known as the show. Able to see the walk-ons get in. Cade Alger has entered the game. There is such a body blow, cumulative effect of the Aztec defense.
It really is. They've put on a show.
Three ball off. Jared Barnett, another walk-on.
Oh boy, here he goes again.
Off the front lip. Taylor head. Air ball. This is the biggest lead the Aztecs have had in any game on the year. And it's coming against an undefeated, nationally ranked conference rival.
Yeah, and for all intents and purposes, John, they may score right here to break 50, but San Diego State just clamped down on a team that scores 82 points a game.
Tanjay. And an Aztec team that has been the monster in the Mountain West for years. And a nearly perennial tournament lock against a Rams squad that for the first time ever was the preseason favorite in the league, sends a statement. The Mountain West still goes through San Diego.
That was a huge statement.
.6 with the differential. Brian Dutcher's team has not only its best win of the year, but most lopsided. Sensei Kreese would be proud. For Jim Spinarco, this is John Sadak saying so long from San Diego. Aztecs take it 79-49. Tonight on CBS, it begins with a premiere encore of Good Sam, followed by FBI Most Wanted, and a new edition of 48 Hours. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports. It's Adam Zucker in New York, inside college basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, after these messages.